Oh, he's gonna love New York. This'll be interesting. He wires out there in New York. We've had New York ready for years. We've been working on New York. So this should be interesting. I got one warrior out there, and I'll tell you what, he's fearless. And I've just been sending him orgone for years out in New York City, and he's single-handedly taking care of Manhattan and Times Square and Montauk and just all kinds of places out there. I'm pretty sure we've been able to shut down that time gate in Montauk. And so just a lot of stuff going on. Ratzinger is just he's like looking at Bush, or not Bush, but Gore. And he's just not even human. It's just pure evil. Was he the last pope? Most definitely. I don't follow this whole, pope thing, because they don't have any power. It's the person behind them that has all the power. It's the black pope. And he's just there to throw a wrench and everything. It's the circle of power, the circle of loop, the loop-de-loop-de-loop. Who owns the world? Who controls the world? The serpent seed, the Jews, Zion, which are serpent seed anyway, the Pope, the UN, and it just goes on in a circle. The Masons, it all just leads back to Satan and his council, and so everything else is entwined. Everybody depended on everybody else to play their part. What was that, Mufasa? Called the circle of life? That's a good analogy. Hi, Sherry. I've been listening to Philip Schneider on YouTube earlier this evening, just listening to him talking about the time he was working on the preparation of a military underground base. Yeah, Paul, he was a hero. And she's just talking about Philip Schneider. Phil Schneider, who was killed. And he said he was going to be killed. He said that when he started speaking out about the fact that they were building these underground bases, that he'd be killed, and sure enough, he was killed. Him and Bill Cooper. And I've always had those two guys' works on my website. No good work never goes unnoticed. I just always felt that was something the Lord had me do, was leave their work on my sites. They died trying to warn people about the New World Order. I know people get William Cooper confused because he kept going back and forth, and finally they killed him. At first not believing there was a UFO alien agenda, then believing there was, because they fake it to cover up for the fact that if it gets exposed, the real one's never found. And so one article you read, he believes that it exists, and the next is just a facade, and then one believing that, he mixes the two, and he was right on about so many things. Bill Cooper's book, Behold the Pale Horse, one of the most sold underground books. I don't know if you can get that at Amazon or not, maybe eBay, but just a good book. A naval intelligence officer who died trying to warn the public about what the government was up to. So, if any more questions, folks, I want to end this show because one more email from a listener. I read on a website a few years ago that the real reason why we're in Iraq is because Saddam Hussein was trying to open up a Stargate portal he found, bringing other beings from other dimensions, kind of like the movie Hellboy. That's what Bush is trying to do. My question is, what's the real reason we are over in Iraq? That's basically it. I don't know if Saddam found it, but I know Bush has. So, they've got control of it. Maybe Saddam did find it, and Bush just wanted to take control of it. That would make sense. Some people say it's just, it's about oil, it's about, all this. I don't buy it, because Saddam Hussein was in the back pockets of the Bushes. They're all fellow Satanists. In fact, I don't think he's dead for a second. I think he's sitting on a Russian yacht somewhere with Bin Laden, soaking martinis. They're all brothers. They're in the Brotherhood. I don't buy it for a second that the whole war with Iraq was about oil. But there is a very real rivalry between Isaac and Ishmael. And so, the Jews and the Arabs. But it's never been a rivalry like recently until the CIA got a hold of it. I mean, they've always been cousins, our cousins, the Arabs, and we've lived peacefully for thousands of years. Enter CIA and the Al-Qaeda. And now you've got bloodshed, you've got nothing but war, you've got the UN, you've got the Pope who set up this extreme form of Islam. This Islam, folks, is nothing that the original Arabs used to believe. Nothing. Because just strip everything apart. You got Ishmael and Isaac. Ishmael had 12 sons that would become 12 princes, and that was the Arab nation. And Isaac had 12 sons who would become 12 princes. You know, 12 tribes of Israel. And so this modern extreme Islam that we're seeing today is not what the early Ishmaelites, I'm going to call them, believed and followed. In fact, all that was manipulated and introduced by the Vatican because they wanted this rivalry for the last days. They needed a huge rivalry between the Arabs and the Jews to break out World War III. And you're going to see a whole war over the Temple Mount in Jerusalem because they want the Temple Mount to rebuild Solomon's temple. I'm not going to get into that now. Don't see any temple rising anytime this year. But for this year and next, folks, just watch your back on the famine. 3 things you need to stock up on: food, water, and ammo. Oregon will protect against the spiritual realm. A bullet will protect you in the physical. You know, these Canadians are stupid enough to come into America where every home has a gun. More power to them, you know. There's going to be a lot of bloodshed on both sides. It's not going to look good. It's not going to be good. Martial law in America. Martial law in Canada. Hopefully they'll wisen up and just go after the governments that are enforcing them to round up citizens. And you know, I'm not going to get into that right now, but eventually these militaries have to realize that they're just working Satan's agenda. You know, I don't know how many times I've heard from my own son who wants to join the military, and I can't have joining the military and working Satan's agenda on earth. You know, they don't realize they're kids. They're just going to go protect America. Let me tell you something. America's never been threatened by the Arabs. We've never been threatened by them. We've been threatened by our own government. Our own government blows up our own buildings, blames it on somebody else, and here we are in war. And that's what they've been doing for hundreds, probably even thousands of years. You know, Israel does it. Then they're over here running America. You know, blow something up, blame it on somebody else, and go to war. They're no threat to us. The Arabs are no threat to us. Our own government is the biggest threat to Americans on the face of the planet than anything else. This mystery Al-Qaeda, some bin Laden, that's just a joke, folks. Do some research on it. Tim Marshall did not lead WTC. Tim Marshall is the CIA agent, also known as bin Laden. So, yeah, do some research, folks, before you sink all your beliefs and faith into our government that they're looking out for your best interests. Because I don't know how many Christians I run into that have their heads buried in the sand. And the same ones were trying to wake up. And they look at you and they laugh. They laugh. What famine? There's no famine. There's no famine coming. And they laugh. And I'll tell you, it's going to be here before you realize it, before you even see it. Because with the forced famines, they can just, boom, stop the trucks overnight, close the doors overnight. Whatever they want to do, it's basically in their hands because they're the ones planning it. And so just be prepared, folks. Just sit back, silently be prepared. Next week, I'm going to talk about the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, their game plan on earth. And what I'm going to do is go through and kind of give my own interpretation of what they're saying. Because anybody can go read it, but you don't really understand what they're saying. I'm going to go through it and give my own interpretation of what they're actually saying, since I know their speak. Aliens speak. It's just their game plan. And so what I need, folks, is suggestions on how we can go into prayer warring against martial law that's coming in America and Canada. I don't know about you guys out in Oz. Watch out for the droughts out there and famine. Probably the 2 things that are going to affect you the most right now, while the rest of the world gets demolished and under martial law by their governments. And so that's what we need to be watching out for. Until next week, everybody. God bless.